Hey everyone. So in the last video, I was discussing Dagomba names with HSC volunteer Christian Hayden. Just so it turns out that today I was given a Dagomba name that we were discussing. Don't know how that happened, but I guess it's sort of a common one. So the name I was given was Wumpini, which means God's gift, and I think that is perfect and great and funny for a number of reasons. One, my my family name on my mom's side actually means God's love. My little sister's name means gift. I guess the God part is probably implied. And I'm the program coordinator for a humanist volunteering program, and I've been an atheist since I was 10. So, wonderful. I love it. I love it so much. So, anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today I invited HSC volunteer Naduah to talk about feminism in Ghana. One of the reasons Naduah is here, one of the many reasons, is her driving interest in women's rights work, and particularly in issues related to gender-based violence and discrimination. So she's done a lot of work in the U.S. around sexual assault prevention, awareness, counseling. And she brings a really strong feminist framework here. But of course, feminism looks different wherever you go, and that's something that we have to keep in mind. So Naduah is going to talk a little bit about how her perspective has shifted here. So, Naduah.
Yeah, so something that's really hard for, particularly I think, American feminists to get their minds around is that feminism is not universal. You can't take American feminism and apply it to China or Iran or Ghana in the same way that it applies to the U.S. And one of the most striking ways I've seen here is with with street harassment, which in the U.S. is often perceived really negatively, and for understandable reasons. It seems very threatening. It's usually an exertion of power. Here, because there's such a cultural emphasis on greetings, it is not harassment, it's just
right.
normal interaction. And so if I were to try to prevent people from yelling at me or other women on the street, it would be completely ineffective, not at all what Ghanaian women want, and against cultural norms that aren't harmful at all. And so it's been really interesting to see the ways in which sort of pillars of American feminism right now are completely not needed here, and trying to learn from Ghanaian women what they actually need and want to see changed in their culture.
So how have you adjusted in the 3.5 months or so that you've been here?
It's interesting. So I think the first step is to sort of just stop responding and just move back and learn, because I don't necessarily have a response yet. It's a difficult thing to figure out how to take something that's so culturally ingrained in your own life and understand that your response does not apply here.
Right.
So my automatic response to street harassment in the U.S. will not work here.
Is to ignore, or?
It depends on the situation. If I'm in a safe space, I probably move back against it and say something to them, or I will just ignore them and continue walking faster, but neither of those things is necessarily the best option here. So initially, especially, I just sort of stopped responding and ignored everything, because I knew that responding directly was not
wouldn't be productive for you.
Productive for me, not productive for the culture, not productive for the program, and not what was needed. And so now I've started reading back and talking and learning from Ghanaian women who, even when things get a little out of hand, they often respond with humor. There was a time when I was out with Cleo, and a man addressed us as if we were his wife and grabbed Cleo, and Alima, the woman who sells rice, yelled at him in Dadbani, but with a smile, and laughed and was like, "They're not your wives. Don't treat them like they're your wives. Like, you don't get to do that." So it was directly responding to something that wasn't appropriate, but in a very different way than we would in the U.S.
Right, she was using humor to take the edge off of the interesting. Okay.
But also very aggressive and direct, but in a humor that's really difficult to get the hang of.
Yeah.
Especially as a foreigner. So I've been slowly observing the local women and how they respond to things like that, and also watching the times when they step in for me. So learning when
you can step in,
when it is inappropriate and when it's normal sort of banter, because they step in for me fairly frequently when they think men are being inappropriate.
Right.
So it's really interesting to just watch and learn from them and how they deal with things that are not okay, and learning what things that would not be okay in the U.S. are totally fine here.
Just gotta watch and learn, listen and learn.
Right.
There's a lot of ins and outs to navigate. The humor part is really interesting to me because there's this concept that I haven't fully researched yet, but this idea of joking relationships or joking ties, and I think I've discussed them a little bit with you before. And there are different tribes where there's just an established history of being able to speak honestly with each other, and even being able to chide each other in a way where if someone from another tribe did it, it would lead to war. It would lead to all-out tribal conflict. And so this role that humor plays, like this recognized role that humor plays in maintaining a sort of honesty and, I don't know, clearing of the pipes. I don't know exactly how it functions, and I certainly couldn't navigate that, but it's fascinating to me.
Well, and it's particularly interesting because we have a similar system in the U.S. You can see comedians who address social issues, but they do it in humor, so it's considered okay.
Right.
Whereas if you just said those things, people are much less receptive to that. And so we have a similar thing, but learning exactly how it functions here and where that line is really, it's really nuanced here. And the Ghanaian women around here are amazing, and it's a beautiful thing to watch them completely defend themselves and or defend me in a way that the man just laughs along with them, but also listens to them.
Right.
And it's amazing to watch, and I've been trying to learn it, and I don't think I'm that good, but I'm figuring it out.
Do you think there will be any applicability from, I mean, you're obviously learning things here that will allow you to navigate the Ghanaian context better.
Right.
Do you see the possibility of learning something from, I mean, I don't know if they would call themselves feminists, but, you know, Ghanaian women who are navigating life as Ghanaian women and pushing back, creating safety and safe spaces for themselves. Do you see the possibility of learning anything from them that you could then take to?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, I think, so speaking from my own experience in the U.S., it can be really frustrating to be an American woman and dealing with street harassment and dealing with sexual harassment.
Sure.
And so it's really common, I think, to have a really aggressive reaction, which is understandable. I respect that, and I understand that, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that.
No.
But also being here and having to also think about the cultural context and respect, and not overstepping bounds based on just cultural differences, and understanding that reaction just won't work here based on other cultural norms.
They wouldn't get it.
Right. It wouldn't be effective, they wouldn't get it, and it would probably damage our relationship in a way that I wouldn't necessarily care in the U.S., and I care much more here. So it sort of has provided a space to explore other reactions and other avenues of response that I didn't necessarily get in the U.S. because I was entrenched in that culture and dealing with it all of the time, and had spent 21 years in that culture of dealing with it, and so of course I was a lot more angry about it, whereas here I get to move back and I'm not part of the culture. I can observe it and I can learn from it, and I've only been here 4 months, and I can leave in 8 more months if I choose to. I have a degree of separation that allows me to learn from it and calm down that will probably be effective in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the next 8 months bring.
We'll see. Hopefully by the end I'll get to banter with the local men as well as the local women. We'll see.
Maybe there will be some blogging about said topics.
Perhaps. Most likely.
Good.
Most likely.
So we've run a little long on this video. Sorry for that. I hope it was informative. Maybe more than entertaining would be the right word. I want to say one more thing before we go. You'll notice that Naduah and I are matching today. We're twinsies. I don't know if you can read the logo, but you may see that this is actually... Oh, is this going to be backwards on the video?
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, this is the Humanist Service Corps logo, and it looks really good on the shirts in real life. It's not actually backwards. And we're thinking about maybe giving these away at some point as perks for donors, or maybe just as direct sales items. So if you're interested, and you should be...
Because we look so cool now.
Just check out these shirts. They're awesome. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave you. Keep in mind that the application window for the 2016-2017 Corps is open. The link will be below. All the info will be there, and if you think you've got what it takes to come here and wear these snazzy shirts, you should apply. All right. Thanks for watching. See ya.